In this WrestleTalk news, Toni Storm is irritated by AEW, New Japan are furious over Karl Anderson's booking situation, and more. Subscribe and enable notifications to always on for daily wrestling news videos.
Support WrestleTalk!
Toni Storm has been the interim AEW Women's World Champion since All Out, where she was due to face Thunder Rosa for the belt before Rosa had to pull out of the match due to injury, and it was changed to a fatal four-way with Britt Baker, Jamie Hayter, and Hikaru Shida. Since then, Storm has been consistently featured on AEW programming, putting on great matches every week on Dynamite and defending her belt on more than one occasion too. However, in an interview with Bleacher Report, while Storm praised her time in AEW and said she was enjoying her time there, she also admitted that something's been bothering her. I guess my first thing would be to beat Thunder Rosa and stop this interim nonsense. That's kind of what's been bothering me. I think that's been bothering a lot of people because she's still calling herself the AEW Women's World Champion, and I'm the one here every week doing the work. While this could just be seen as character work to build to the inevitable Storm Rosa unification match down the line, this also comes off the back of the press conference from All Out, where Toni Storm had some less than favorable remarks toward Rosa. I know, you probably forgot about that too because there might have been something else happening at that press conference that slightly overshadowed it. Can't think what though. Toni Storm is the third interim champion in AEW in 2022, with Sammy Guevara being the interim TNT champion at the beginning of the year, and Jon Moxley being interim AEW World Champ through the summer, so it might be easier to see why Storm may be feeling a little frustrated over the interim title, as some fans definitely are as well. If this frustration is legitimate though, this is yet another instance of some backstage unrest brewing in AEW, and after some, let's call it turbulent few months, it would be the last thing AEW needs right now. But the frustration is not solely in AEW, as there's reportedly a furious man in New Japan right now, that being New Japan's president, Takumi Obari. We've spoken before about the Karl Anderson situation, that being that he's the current never openweight champion in New Japan, and was scheduled to defend the belt against Hikuleo at New Japan's Battle Awesome show on November 5th, but instead, is going to be in Saudi Arabia for Crown Jewel on that date instead, now following his WWE return. Anderson and Gallows put out a video message on social media to joke about the situation and said that because New Japan didn't run it past Gallows, the booking doesn't count, so they won't be going. This, shockingly, hasn't sat well with New Japan's president, Takumi Obari. In an interview with Tokyo Sports, Obari stated that he was furious over the situation, but declined to comment on where he stood on the issue of Anderson choosing to appear at Crown Jewel over Battle Awesome. The Tokyo Sports article noted that although Brock Lesnar was forced to pull out of a New Japan show in 2006 due to visa issues, the Anderson situation was the first instance of a foreign fighter blatantly refusing to participate at a pre-advertised appearance. New Japan have yet to announce what's happening with Anderson's title, whether he be stripped of it entirely or perhaps a rumored defense at one of New Japan Strong's Halloween-themed shows in New York later in October. It's not the best look for WWE. They're straight up just strong-arming their way to get the Good Brothers back on WWE TV. Earlier this week, we got confirmation of Ace Steel's release from AEW, the first major change to occur following Brawl Out and the ensuing investigation, perhaps the first sign of the investigation coming to an end. Jim Ross has reacted to the release on his Grilling JR podcast, and he sure had an interesting take. He's a smart guy, he has a lot of product knowledge, solid hand, and I thought he did a nice job, but I didn't work with him directly a lot. I'd see him at TV, and he was always friendly and approachable. I hate to see anybody lose a job and lose a paycheck. That's the deal. But the bottom line is, another guy lost a job, and that's what's regrettable. He went on to say that he's a smart guy and will probably find more work in the wrestling industry if he's given a fair shake, and that, well, that sure is something, isn't it? Dynamite this week took place on Tuesday for the special Title Tuesday episode, marking the first time in quite a while that WWE and AEW have gone directly head-to-head. While AEW managed to score the victory in terms of numbers for the week, NXT managed to pull in some impressive numbers regardless. Now it seems there may be another head-to-head bout between the companies. Sort of. Ring of Honor, which is now a Tony Khan operated and owned company, has their final battle show scheduled for December 10th, which is why it's quite interesting that according to Fightful, NXT talent have been told that December 10th is also the date for the next NXT Premium Live event. Now we'll actually see AEW's developmental versus WWE's developmental, unless it's a third brand whenever they feel like calling it their third brand, but also still developmental. Also, while this isn't quite AEW versus WWE, it's also not quite head-to-head either, as Final Battle will be airing at 4 p.m. EST, and if NXT show goes on at its regular time, it would put it at 8 p.m. EST. So basically what I'm saying is there are two wrestling shows happening on the same day. News! Speaking of news, Ronda Rousey has said on her YouTube channel that she wanted to call out WWE over the lack of women's representation at WrestleMania Backlash this year, as she and Charlotte Flair had the only women's match on the show. "I wanted to call out the WWE for only having one women's match out of 6 matches at Backlash, and say that we are more than 1/6 of the company. You wanted to, so you didn't then. You didn't, did you?" In all seriousness though, she then mentioned that she would continue to do her part to make sure that women's wrestling was at the forefront of WWE, including pushing for the removal of women's out of the championship names, which honestly isn't a terrible idea. Either that or just include men's in the championship names as well. So men's Raw Championship, women's Raw Championship, just makes it a bit more even, doesn't it? R-Truth and Shelton Benjamin. That's 2 names we haven't heard or seen in a while, aside from the obligatory job of breaking up brawls on TV, of course. Well, that may be about to change, as on this week's edition of Main Event, yes, that is still a show that exists, we saw a potential character change for the 2 veterans. During a backstage segment on the show, Benjamin told the perennial Joker Truth why he takes things so seriously, stating that it's because he's already had his fun and was told that if he didn't take things seriously, he would likely never get another big opportunity. Not sure if this approach has had much success for Benjamin so far, to be honest, as he's been a fairly serious guy for the past few years, unlike Truth, who has had at the very least a few dozen 24/7 title reigns, but I digress. Benjamin ended the segment by harking back to one of his old gimmicks from the late 2000s, saying, "I used to be the gold standard Shelton Benjamin, but now I'm just Shelton." The team of Truth and Benjamin began last week, and interestingly are being listed as a team on the internal roster, so perhaps the pair may have one final push in store for them in the future, which I, by the way, am all for. Gimme that. The much-rumoured Wyatt 6 faction has seen fans bat around many names that could potentially join up with a returning Bray. Joe Gacy, Grayson Waller, Liv Morgan, and the former White Rabbit himself, in Lucha Underground of course, Karrion Kross. While Kross has had his hands full with Drew McIntyre since returning to WWE on August 6th, he is open to the idea of joining forces with Wyatt. Speaking in a recent interview with Give Me Sports' Louis Dangoor, Kross said, "If the fans really want that, it would be something that I would completely consider. We'll have to see how things play out." It remains to be seen whether the Wyatt 6 is indeed a faction of real people, as it was originally anticipated, or whether it's just 6 different versions of Bray himself. Like Kross said, I guess we'll also just have to see how things play out. Monday Night Raw is not far away from hitting the big 3-0, with its official anniversary coming in January 2023. It has been reported by WrestleVotes that plans are in motion from WWE in preparing for that landmark show. However, also according to WrestleVotes, the chances of WWE running the show from the legendary Manhattan Center in New York, where the formative years of Raw were held, are currently unknown under the new regime. So maybe Vince was a big nostalgia mark and Trips isn't so much, though DX Celebration on Raw might say otherwise. It's worth noting that WWE held the 25th anniversary Raw show in the Manhattan Center for one half of a 2-venue event in January 2018. So yeah, hard to tell which way they'll go here. And unfortunately, we have to end the news today with some truly heartbreaking news. Tristen Nash, the son of 2-time WWE Hall of Famer Kevin Nash, has tragically passed away at just 26 years old. The news was broken by Fightful Sean Ross Sapp, who put out a statement on behalf of the Nash family on his Twitter account stating, "On behalf of Kevin and Tamara Nash, I have to unfortunately report that their son Tristen Nash has tragically passed away at the age of 26. Tristen recently started working on Kevin's new podcast, and the two enjoyed their time together. The Nash family asks if you could please respect their privacy during this time." Tristen was a musician and poet, and as SRS mentioned, had recently began working with his father Kevin on his popular podcast Click This. We at WrestleTalk would like to offer our sincerest thoughts and condolences to the Nash family at this incredibly difficult time. In this WrestleTalk news, AEW stars are spoken to backstage after a stiff match, another AEW backstage altercation, news on CM Punk and the Elite's potential return to AEW, and more.